Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about how to close your div tags at the end after you've created your divisions. In the last video, we created all of our divisions and we have all of the CSS over here located. We did this in the last video. We've also gone ahead and named all of these divisions the proper names, as you can kind of see here. And down here in this region right here is our HTML, and we have also a area that's been renamed to match all of the CSS above. So now the last thing you need to do, and I'm going to show you this finished already, is I'm going to go over here to this finished one, is down here in the HTML. Notice that it has a division, and all of these divisions look exactly the same. So there's an opening division tag, and then there's a closed division tag. And what ends up happening is as you start populating the HTML, and if you kind of look at my example over here, eventually your HTML is going to look like this. You're going to lose sight of what division goes with what. You can kind of see, I didn't label mine because again, I work a little bit differently than how I'm instructing here because I kind of know how to work with the code, but you can kind of see there's all these divisions here and you can kind of lose sight of what goes with what. So as you're beginning to learn this, the best thing to do, and let's jump back to this example here, is before you start populating your content and creating Spry and doing galleries and all of this other stuff, that you label these end division tags so that when these start spreading out, you know what goes with what. So what I would suggest is that you do this, the following comment, okay? Now what this means is, let me go back to here. Okay, so here we're working. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my cursor in between the open tag, the open division tag, and the closed division tag, and I'm going to hit a return. Okay, so I'm going to do that for each one of these. I'm going to click after the open tag and hit a return right before the closed tag of all of these. Okay. And I've got how many here? I've got 6. Okay. So I've got these 6 divisions which look exactly the same. These 6 closed division tags which look exactly the same. I'm going to start labeling those, and I'm going to paste this code in here, and I'll explain it here. Anytime that you have a bracket, an exclamation point, and 2 dashes and then a space, anything in that particular area is not read by the browser. Okay, so all it really is used for is to put comments inside of your code to remind yourself of something, or to label something, or to just put a note inside your code that doesn't get read by the browser. So in this case, we're going to put a note in here that says this division right here is actually the division for the wrapper. So I'm going to change this to read wrapper. Okay, so once you type this in once, you can go ahead and just copy and paste it and change it for each one. So you can come over here, and again, you're going to do some hand code here. There's just no way around this. So we're going to come over here and we're going to grab this comment, copy it, and put our cursor down here to the second division, and we're going to go ahead and paste. And this time for that one, we're going to type in the word header. So I'm going to select this and type in header. So now I know where the header opens, and now I know where the header ends. Okay, so let's go ahead and type in, or let's paste to the next one. Now this one, this div is going to be labeled the banner div, closed div. Okay, okay, this one I'm going to paste here, and we're going to call this one G-slice. And the same here, we're going to paste this one, and this is going to be called nav, and you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Paste this one, and this one will become footer. Okay, so now we have a nice neat labeling system so that we know when this wrapper starts to become, you know, filled with other code, and this the closing div is way down here, we can identify with this div and what it goes to in terms of, you know, divisions. Okay, so it just makes things easier, because eventually it's going to kind of look like, let's see, this one, even this one right here. You can kind of see how information gets placed in between the open and closed divs, and you sort of lose sight of what goes with what. So we're just trying to create some neat organized code that helps us work efficiently. Okay, so that's how you label your closed divisions. All right. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here with this is we're going to try and shore this up a little bit and try and get this to the sizes that we want to work with. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work with some CSS here. All right, so I just roughly placed these divs in here, and I didn't take too much time to adjust the sizes of things and the position of things, and that's what we're going to do right now. So let's start with the wrapper. Over here in the CSS window, which anytime we want to edit any of this structure over here, or any of this styling in terms of CSS, we have to come over here into the CSS menu to do that. So I'm going to select the wrapper first. And I noticed that I did put the width and height in there. So my width, which is here, and my height is the proper height and width. However, I accidentally, while I was drawing, added in a left and a top margin of some kind, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So that's actually this up here. See how this is not butting up to the edge, and this is not butting up to the edge? I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go into my pencil, and I'm going to go into, I believe it's under position. If you go under position on the left, notice here are my 17 pixels at the top and my 17 pixels on the left. That's this right here and this right here. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to go and delete that, and I'm going to select this one and delete it and say OK. Whoops. It didn't. All right. Come on. Why isn't it deleting it? Okay. I guess we just have to go. All right. You have to hit the tab. Delete and then tab. Okay, and that deletes it out. You can hit apply and OK, and now notice over here that I am snapped up to the upper left-hand corner in honoring this zeroed out margin that I set up originally. You can also see that the styling for the wrapper is now starting to simplify even further. So I believe I've got everything set up for my wrapper. Now I need to come in and pay attention to some of these other divs. Now this div here is the div for my header, okay? And this is going to honor the size of the graphic that is displayed right here. So I'm going to come into my Photoshop document, turn some things off here, Command D this, and I'm going to use my slice tool here. Select my slice tool, and I'm going to double click on this slice options box, which just double clicking this little blue region. It gives me the width and height of that slice, and I'm going to write that down, 815 by 235. Okay. All right, so let's cancel out of this. Come over here, and we're going to edit this header CSS. So I'm going to come over here, select the header CSS, and I'm going to go into the pencil, and I'm going to modify the width and height of this 815 by 235. Okay, and I'm hit apply. And notice now that this is snapping into the size that I would like it to be. I'd also like to see if there's any additional space. I believe there is some space in here on the left, which pushes this division in. So if you notice here, looking at the layout, I've got a margin here, basically, or a placement. So, and in order to get this, I have to actually tell it on the left edge, I want to move it in 112 pixels. But I'm going to verify that based on my Photoshop document. So let me jump back here to Photoshop. And over here, I've got a guide. Okay, you see this guide here? I also have my 0 point up in the upper left-hand corner in my Photoshop document. I'm going to pull that down to the very edge of my wrapper. Again, let me turn that back on. So I'm pulling my 0 point for reference down to the corner of my wrapper. So now it's going to 0. If you notice here, I've got a 0 here and a 0 here. So anything I measure from here in is going to start at 0. So now using my move tool, I'm going to just check and see where this guide is sitting. It looks like it's sitting on 160. I come over here and I'm going to change this left margin, or the position of this, to 160. Okay. Hit apply. Whoops. Let's come over here to Dreamweaver so we can see this. Okay. We change this to 160 and notice that this moved over. And from the top, let's go ahead back to our Photoshop document here. Let's see. All right, so this, all right, that's sitting at 160. That's zeroed out. Okay, so from the top, we're going to see what this is. And this is at 117. So let me see how close I am from the top. I'm going to go ahead and put 117 in here. Say okay. Okay. So now I've got this sitting where it should be sitting. It looks like something is not set up right here. Maybe I got the wrong dimension of my wrapper, possibly. Let me see. Let me look here at this one. Start. Okay, what was the header on this one? Was 815 by 24. Okay. Oh, it was 129 from the left and 107 from the top. Okay. So let's come over here. This, and bring up my pencil again and change my positioning to from the left. I think it was 129. There we go. Okay. So now this is, I had the wrong left dimension in here. I must have miscalculated in Photoshop. And then from the top, I believe it was 117. Okay, so now we've got this division exactly where it should be placed. Okay. All right, so let's see. Let's go back to Photoshop here and sort of see what we've got. That's why it's just not zeroing out. I guess that's what's happening here. Okay. All right, so we're going to honor what we just did here, and we're going to use the same left edge, okay, coming from this left edge, and we're going to align these two divisions as well. Okay. So let's come back over here and select the banner. Okay, make sure I've got everything set for my, yes, I do. I've got my width and height set, and I've got my left and top set for this division. So I'm done there. I'm going to go ahead and click this one, which is my banner, and I'm going to click the pencil. And right now there's really no specific size just yet because this is text. So I'm going to leave it at the size I drew it at, but from my left edge, my positioning is going to be 129 again here. So it lines up with the rest of this. So you can kind of see when I put 129 in here how it's lining up with this. Okay. And we're going to leave the width and height as is because right now we're not actually putting an image in here. This is going to be text. So it's unknown really what the width and height is going to be at this point. So go ahead and say okay. We're going to click on this division, which is our banner. And we're going to go back into the pencil and go to the positioning, and it looks like this is already set. 129. Okay, can't possibly be. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the nav. That one's actually the nav. Okay, let's go back in here to positioning, and we're going to put 129 for the nav. Apply that, and now look how we are lined up here. Okay, you see how we're using CSS to line this up? Okay, over here, I am just going to move this in slightly because there's really not a dimension for this per se, but I do have a distance from the top, and I might want to adjust this up just slightly. So I'm going to come back to this banner, and I'm looking here of what I have for the positioning from the top, and I'm looking like it's a little too low, because if I look here in my Photoshop document, it's not really that low, so I'm going to guesstimate this at maybe about 350. And if I apply this, let's go back to our Dreamweaver page here. Okay, 350. If I apply this, I can see, oh, that's way too much. So I'm going to go maybe 375. Apply. Okay, so that looks more like what I'm really looking for there for that. So I'm going to remember that dimension from the top and say okay, and I'm going to select G-Slice, which is this one here, and go back in to positioning, and I'm going to put the same dimension in there. Apply. And again, this is all related to your grid, okay? If you have this thing gridded out properly, like I mentioned in the beginning when you did your wireframes, then this part is more or less simple, okay? And then this one, I am just mainly going to just maybe position it in the bottom corner here, because it's a footer and it's just going to readjust, okay? All right, so we've got these divisions where they should be, all right? And we're going to continue to go and work more with this as we go here. So I'm going to end this video and we'll continue with the next video.